Welcome to Ill-Equipped History, where two best friends tell you about really cool people in history.
Yeah.
I'm Morgan, joined by the ethereal Emileigh.
I'm ethereal. Hi.
You are a wisp of smoke and beauty.
Ma'am, I have never been a wisp in my life. I am a thick lady. But I'll take it. I love it. I love being called a wisp. Like a will-o-wisp?
Yes. Leading others to the fate.
I guide you.
How are you doing, Emily?
I need these kids to go to school. I love them with all of everything that is within me. They argue a lot. And I don't know why. They can pretty much do whatever they want during the day. But if I'm on a work call, they are not supposed to be banging on the door.
Mm-hmm.
They don't listen to that. So,
no.
and then there's a lot of, Mom, he took my, I don't know, it could be anything.
Took my piece of string.
Things. Yes, a piece of string. It could be something as wild as like, Mom, she stole my pocket knife. And it's like, why do you have that to be? Now you're both in trouble. This is wild behavior. So thankfully no more broken furniture as of this day.
That's good.
Still haven't replaced my lamp.
Wait, what happened to your lamp?
Oh, did I not tell you? Okay, so in 1 week they broke my daughter's bed,
oh my
lamp. God. They just shattered it on the floor, and a table. In 1 week. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, how? Like, this is only our upstairs, our living quarters are only like 1,600 square feet. I can see you pretty much from everywhere in this kitchen. How are you doing this?
Go back to hell where you once spawned.
My daughter's mattress is literally on the floor because they broke her bed. I don't hate it though, because stuff can't go under the bed now.
So like the whole frame, like,
oh yeah, they somehow were like hanging on the footboard and like pulled on it, and it just ripped that wood at the end. And like my father-in-law is having to put a new post on her bed. It's wild behavior.
What do they even do in that situation? It's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be as wild. Or are they just like, whatever.
This was after I took all electronics away from them for an entire week. I was running out of things to take. At this point, we're bartering for souls. I don't know what to do next.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
So, I think maybe my kids do need some kind of structure, and I'm not the kind of person to give it to them. Because I don't give it to myself. So, we're winging it here. It's fine.
Well, I believe in you.
Thanks. How are you? How are you surviving the summer? I'm sure well.
My house is quiet.
It's so nice.
Kyle still works over the summer, so I am home, and I'm working through some projects that I've been wanting to do over the year, but it was too overwhelming. So I'm going to start like doing some deep organizing, maybe some light redecorating. Just like maybe change what's on the walls. We can't do a whole lot because we're just renting, but I started up my favorite video game yesterday and playing through that again for like the 7th time.
I love that. I love that for you.
I need it. I for sure need it. Everyone has been
jealous.
very respectful of my my need for mental healing and well-being.
Yes. Yes. You were here for a week, and it was wonderful and glorious, and I
Yes.
totally understand why you wanted to go home to a quiet house. I, too, want to go home to your quiet house, so I
You're
might just
welcome
pop in one
anytime.
day.
Literally, show up at any time. I'm here. I don't have any plans, so you can come on like a Monday morning, and I'll be here.
My husband might be a little mad, but it's fine. It'll be fine. He loves me, so.
Well, so that's enough about our personal lives and traumas.
Yeah.
Shall we get into our skit today about the super awesome person we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, let's do it.
Two friends are seated at a club in Harlem during the height of Prohibition and the Harlem Renaissance. They are waiting for the headlining performer to take the stage. Are you sure it's okay we're here? This breaks every rule I've ever known.
Yes, it's okay. Look at all of these other people here. The fuzz don't care.
Okay, if you say so. So, this lady, she really wears men's clothes?
She sure does. She looks mighty snazzy, if I might add.
How strange.
What's even stranger is her rip-roaring songs. You'll be too busy laughing and blushing to care about what she's wearing. Oh, I think she's coming on now.
The lights dim and the curtains open to reveal tonight's star performer, Gladys Bentley. The room fills with her deep, gravelly voice and filthy song lyrics, which has the room in stitches. She walks around the audience and caresses the shoulders and faces of women in the audience to their delights. While her name isn't as widely known today, in the 1920s, she was one of the most beloved artists in the Harlem Renaissance. Gladys Bentley broke all sorts of barriers by being an out queer black woman and performer who was not afraid to be herself.
I love her already.
I know.
Look
She's
at her.
Such a cool person. And I want to spread the word about her because I had never heard of her before.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't know about her. And we're changing that today.
Changing it today on record.
Yes, everyone will know who Gladys Bentley is. So I want to start off this episode with a quote I got from Halima Shah, who wrote this for Smithsonian Magazine. It's kind of a long quote, but I think this will perfectly set up the episode we're going to be going into today.
Okay.
Quote, in 1934, a Midtown Manhattan nightclub called King's Terrace was padlocked by the police after an observer complained of the dirty songs performed there. The After Theater Club near Broadway was where a troupe of liberally painted male sapiens with effeminate voices and gestures performed behind entertainer Gladys Bentley, who was no less provocative for early 20th century America. Performing in a signature white top hat, tuxedo, and tails, Bentley sang raunchy songs laced with double entendres that thrilled and scandalized her audiences. And while the performance of what an observer called a, quote, masculine-garbed smut-singing entertainer led to the shutdown of King's Terrace, Bentley's powerful voice, fiery energy on the piano, and bold lyrics still made her a star of New York City nightclubs.
Wow. You know how I said last week I want to invent a time machine and go give Harvey Milk a hug?
Mm-hmm.
I want to give her a hug too, but like I want to see that. I want this.
Yes. I will say there are recordings of her out there that you can listen to.
Ooh, cool.
And probably some videos of her later performances because she was performing up through the 50s. Like, I listened to a couple of her songs, more of her, unfortunately, her more filthy lyrics are lost to time because her, and I'll get into it when I talk about her, but the recordings she made were a little bit more people, like, public friendly.
PG, right.
Yes. And one little disclaimer that I want to make. So, Gladys Bentley identified, at least in public, as a cisgender woman. But there are some other people who are smarter than me and know a lot more about me that suspect that she may have been genderqueer or even possibly trans. She really took hold of a male identity occasionally and even referred to herself as a husband. I'm not sure if this is because, you know, she was a lesbian and the kind of thinking at the time was like still very heteronormative. So I'm not sure if she was genderqueer. I will be using she, her pronouns throughout this episode because that's how she referred to herself. But there are other articles that use they, them pronouns, even some that use he, him pronouns. So I just want that to be clear. I will be using she, her pronouns. But we don't know what she identified as, if she was transgender, because that was still something that was very misunderstood at the time.
Yeah. And the language really wasn't there at all.
I mean, transgender wasn't even a term yet. Not even transvestite was a term yet at this time, which is considered a very outdated term to us today.
Yes.
So we're getting into the early 20th century here. So let's get into who Gladys Bentley is. She was born August 12th, 1907 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Her father was an African-American man and her mother was from Trinidad. Her mother's name was Mary Moat and her father's name was George Bentley. She was the oldest with 3 younger brothers. According to Gladys, and this is her self-report, and she's not the most reliable narrator because she also said she was born in Trinidad and she was not. She had a very difficult childhood. Mm-hmm. According to Gladys, her mother wanted a son and she was treated very poorly because of it. Okay. I even saw in one source that her mother like refused to nurse her and her grandmother had to like feed her formula.
Oh my gosh.
So she knew from a young age she was different. Mm-hmm. She felt more comfortable in her brother's clothing than what was typical for girls at the time. And it came out that when she was a girl, she developed a crush on one of her female teachers. Mm. And her mother immediately sought medical treatment for her quote-unquote condition. Because at the time, homosexuality was viewed as a curable medical condition.
Right.
Yeah. The family did grow up with some financial difficulty. She was also bullied as a child for being overweight and a tomboy, what we would call a tomboy today. You know, she didn't really fit into the stereotypical female gender norms. And as a way to process her emotions, kind of deal with everything, she started singing and playing piano, which she was very good at. And that's really all I was able to find about her early life. I couldn't find anything about her school or any friends that she had had. So I'm going to take a tiny break from Gladys, and I'm going to talk very briefly about the Harlem Renaissance. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it started after World War I. It was a part of the Great Migration from, I think, the South to northern states, especially New York, after, you know, everything in the early 1900s ended.
Yeah.
And this was a great coming of age of the blues and jazz and art. DragKingHistory.com said this underground scene, meaning in Harlem, is where jazz music and sexual liberation were born. Historian Henry Louis Gates Jr. says the Harlem Renaissance was described as being, quote, surely as gay as it was black. So there was a lot of, I mean, this is the 1920s and queer people are really coming out of the woodwork for the first time in a big way.
Yeah.
During the Harlem Renaissance. And Harlem and Greenwich Village became center points for artists and the gay community. And we've talked about both of those places. Other gay people famous during the Harlem Renaissance include Langston Hughes, Countee Cullen, Wallace Thurman, Bessie Smith, Ethel Waters, and Moms Mabley. Just a few. And Gladys Bentley, who is our topic of today's episode. And one thing I thought was also really interesting is that Harlem was really like a center for performances. And all of this is taking place during during Prohibition as well. So speakeasies were really big. We talked about Prohibition in one of our bonus episodes, but police were doing raids on speakeasies and clubs and stuff all the time. But the police really left Harlem alone during this time. Of course, not all of Harlem, but rich white socialites came to Harlem to experience their like edgier like entertainment and to have a drink. And so police, like, again, not all the time, but for the most part, the police stayed out of Harlem.
Right.
During this time.
Okay.
Which I thought was very interesting. So, many Black writers, artists, musicians made their way on the scene in Harlem, and several were out, like, about their sexualities publicly. It was a lot more welcoming to those with what you'd call different, at the time, sexual identities, and Gladys made her way there in the 20s. And again, like, I know I said the police mostly left Harlem, like the Harlem speakeasies alone, but there was still violence just everywhere at the time, and a lot of people did have to remain in the closet for their own safety. Gladys ran away from home when she was 16 and came to Harlem around 1925. Okay. And immediately she knew, like, this is where I'm supposed to be because I'm different. The people here are different. I can be who I want to be. I saw in one source that she had auditioned with, like, a Broadway producer and was already starting to, like, record labels.
Wow.
Like just fresh 16 years old on Broadway.
Damn.
I did only see that in one source. For the most part, though, and every other source I saw, that she started getting her start working as a pianist and a singer. She started at smaller parties, what were called buffet flats or illegal nightclubs, a lot of times in brownstones or like people's houses during Prohibition. Yeah. They would house gambling, drinking, music, prostitution. You know, kind of the, what'd you call it? A den of debauchery.
The dens a little of while debauchery.
Ago. Dens of debauchery. So that's where she started making her living, performing in these areas. Okay. She started becoming really popular because she would take very common, well-known songs and change the lyrics to be absolutely filthy.
I love it.
So
I love this.
I found this... I found this example on picturingblackhistory.org. So there's a song called Alice Blue Gown. Here's the original lyrics. All the world seemed to smile all around, till at will did I wore it, I'll always adore it, my sweet little Alice Blue Gown. Mm-hmm. This is Gladys Bentley's version of the song. And he said, dearie, please turn around. And he shoved that big thing up my brown. He tore it, I bored it, Lord, how I adored it, my sweet little Alice Blue Gown.
And are we in one of my novels that I like to read?
We are in 1925 Harlem.
This is scandalous for the time.
Oh, I know.
Oh my God, I love it.
People fucking loved it. Oh my God.
Yeah, they do, because we're people. And whether we think, like, even the people who made those laws were probably still enjoying that shit because people are sometimes hypocritical. And like, people like that stuff. It doesn't matter when.
And she was just a natural born entertainer, as we'll get into. So her career officially started at the Madhouse Speakeasy. She was originally paid $35 a week, but her performances started drawing in white metropolitan, more wealthy audience members, because they're like, I gotta get a glimpse of this person. And she began earning $100 a week. And I did mean to look up what that conversion is.
What year?
1925.
$100 in 1925 is worth $1,367 today.
Oh, wow. So she was making good money.
Yeah. So that would be, let's just say, let's round it up to 14. That would be $2,400 every 2 weeks. That would be $4,800 a month.
That's not bad. That's nothing to shake your head at.
Yeah, that's great.
Apparently I did not write where this quote came from, but she, quote, wowed audiences with her powerful voice and obscene parodies of blues standards and show tunes, and was famous for her glamorous girlfriends. Again, she was very out and open about being a lesbian.
Yeah.
And as she started getting more popular, she started developing an onstage persona. She used it sometimes. She was mostly known as Gladys Bentley, but she also used the stage name Bobby Minton. Mm-hmm. As a little bit more like she was kind of androgynous, especially when she started wearing her very famous outfit.
Yeah.
And Bobby Minton is kind of an androgynous name because she spelled it like Bobbie.
Okay.
But she became very, very famous. She wore a white coat-tail tuxedo with a top hat and a cane.
She's looking good.
She looks
that outfit.
Awesome. She's rocking it. And you can tell it is extremely tailored to her body.
It's so flattering.
Very flattering, it's like these are very expensive materials. It's a very well-made tuxedo.
Yeah.
And then the top hat and the cane and the gloves and the shoes, it's a whole thing. And I saw in a lot of sources she would like walk around and like flirt with women in the audience and like I don't think she would really seduce them, but she would like seduce them in the audience.
Right. Yeah. You play it up. It's a performing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sing her dirty, raunchy, naughty lyrics, and she would like dance in like scandalous ways, and people just loved it. Like everything about her they loved. And this is an overweight, queer, cross-dressing black woman. And people could not get enough of her.
I can't get enough of her. This is amazing.
I know. So her her big break happened when she started performing at Harry Hansberry's Clam House. It was the most popular gay speakeasy in the area. So that became like her home base, and she started bringing in the people.
Wow.
Like I said earlier, her performances were described as raunchy and naughty.
Yes.
This quote from queerculturalcenter.org says, quote, she, quote, dressed in signature tux and top hat, she openly and riotously flirted with women in the audience.
Yes. I love it.
She became a huge name associated with hot Harlem in the 1920s. And she started recording records. She recorded her first album when she was 21 with the OK label. OK label. Wow, that was really hard for me to say. And then went on to start recording for the Victor label, which was like a huge recording label at the time.
Yeah.
But, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, her records did not show evidence of her sexuality or the raunchiness.
Right.
I guess because people may not have bought it if she was like, I'm gay and I'm attracted to women,
Well, it's one thing to perform it where, nobody is recording it.
Yeah.
And it's just for the people. And, people, and if you're doing it in speakeasies, nobody's going to be like, yeah, I was there,
Yeah. Right.
But then when it's on a record, it's out there for people to be like, what is this? It's more permanent, I think.
What was interesting is that a lot of her songs that she recorded on records were about like surviving domestic abuse, like My Man's Hitting on Me and I Still Love Him type of songs.
Interesting.
Which, to my knowledge, she's never experienced before, but it seems like there is like an audience for those songs. So
a demand, yeah.
Right. Okay. So it seems like she had two personas in her performing on her records. She did portray herself as more feminine. Again, like, she still had a very distinct voice. it was a famous gravelly alto voice. So it was pretty deep. Mm-hmm. And in her songs, she would like imitate trumpets like that, like that wah, 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 wah. like jazzy trumpet. And she did it immaculately. Like I was listening to a song that she had performed and I thought it was a trumpet. And then like, as I was doing more research, like those are her vocalizations that she makes it sound like a trumpet because she really likes that sound. I was like, whoa, she's really good at that. I thought it was a trumpet.
Oh my God, that's cool.
And on stage, she was this more masculine portrayal. And actually, the term that was used to describe her is bulldagger, which at the time... my brain just short-circuited. I'm so sorry. At the time, butch dagger meant butch lesbian, which I mean, that's what she was. So not only was she at the Clam House, she also made appearances at the Cotton Club, the Apollo Club, and the Ubangi Club, which are all like really like those were not just gay speakeasies, but like general audience speakeasies. Mm-hmm. So she was just killing it. She was one of the highest paid Black women of the time.
Wow.
For her performances. This quote from blackpast.org says, quote, her deep voice appealed to straight, gay, Black, and white audiences.
Wow.
So people just loved her. She was the most popular and famous lesbian in Harlem at the time. And she wasn't the only one, but she was the most famous.
Yeah. Insane. All because she ran away at 16.
I know. That's crazy. The New York Times called her one of the best known Black entertainers in the United States. I got a few of these next quotes from the New York Times. Quote, Bentley's rise to fame demonstrated how liberated the Prohibition culture of the Harlem Renaissance had become and how welcoming the blues tradition could be to gay expression. She often confronted male entitlement and sexual abuse in her lyrics and declared her own sexual independence.
Wow.
And another quote from the New York Times, quote, but Bentley was the first prominent performer of her era to embrace a trans identity, implicating her body differently in these acts of musical defiance. Throughout her life, Bentley used female pronouns to describe herself, at least in public, which again is where we're not 100% sure if she was actually trans. We don't have any documentation. We'll get into more of like her identity as it changed as she got older. Mm-hmm. Langston Hughes described her as, quote, an amazing exhibition of musical energy, a large, dark, masculine lady whose feet pounded the floor while her fingers pounded the keyboard, a perfect piece of African sculpture animated by her own rhythm.
How beautiful is that?
Which, I mean, Langston Hughes was a writer, so he did
it. He wrote that well. He write good.
He write good.
He write good.
She actually performed on Broadway for a while until her performances were banned by police because of, quote, lewd performances backed by a chorus of 8 effeminate male dancers.
That I want to see that more.
I know. Apparently the male performers were all in drag. So she was in drag, they were in drag. It's a drag party going on here.
Well, I see nothing wrong with that, so...
I agree. At the peak of her fame, Gladys had a Park Avenue apartment, a household staff, and nice cars. She's got to have her nice cars. In 1930, Gladys had her own weekly radio program.
Okay. Damn, Gladys.
I know! She is just killing it. There are also several book characters who are suspected to be based on Gladys. The books include Parties by Carl Van Vechtens, Deep River by Clement Woods, and Strange Brother by Blair Niles. They each have characters that are very similar to Gladys Bentley that people assume are based on her. So not only is she a great performer breaking barriers, according to Gladys and all those sources I read, she reported that she married a white woman in a civil ceremony in 1931.
What?
Before either of those were legal.
What?
So the only thing is that no one knows who this woman is.
Right.
There's no evidence. This is reported by Bentley. Like, she says that she married a woman. But I don't know for how long. But it seems like most sources take this as fact.
Yeah.
I got this quote from a writer named Monroe for the Huffington Post. Gladys marrying her white girlfriend in a civil ceremony was both, quote, a coup d'etat against the institution of marriage and the prohibition against miscegenation.
Wow.
So
she's really just like, fuck you, I do what I want.
Basically. Yeah. Sorry. I have a lot of quotes because people said everything so much better than I could say. So this next quote, it's a little bit longer. It's from Eleanor Medhurst for dressingdykes.com. Quote, Bentley existed past the walls of the club. They walked the streets of Harlem in men's clothing with pretty women on their arms. They visited the opera with their wife while wearing a full dress suit. They inspired young lesbians, other gender nonconforming women, and modernist female husbands. They could do all of this, at least for a time, because their fame made them near untouchable.
Wow.
Can you imagine, like, Gladys, like, showing up in, like, her tux with her wife on her side at the opera in, like, 1930?
No. Because most people would have rioted had that been anyone else.
Or anywhere else.
Yes. That's crazy.
It's so cool. Unfortunately, the Renaissance doesn't last forever.
Of course.
The Great Depression, starting and the repeal of Prohibition, decreased the Harlem speakeasy culture and nightlife, just in general.
Yeah.
And she was in a weird position because in the 1930s, her popularity increased. Okay. But the tolerance for what she represented decreased.
Okay.
And it started becoming a little bit less safe for Gladys in New York. So in the late 1930s, the blues, the Harlem Renaissance were fading on popularity. So in 1937, when she was 30 years old, she moved out to Los Angeles to live with her mother. I don't know anything about... Seems like it's just her mom. I don't know where her dad is. Don't know where her brothers are. They've never come up again.
Okay.
When she moved out to LA, she continued to perform in gay bars because there was still a really big bustling gay culture in Los Angeles. She started performing at Joaquin's El Rancho, which is a very big gay bar and club in LA. Mm-hmm. At some point, she relocated to San Francisco. And she started performing at Mona's, which is the first openly lesbian club in the United States. And then she came back to LA. And she made regular appearances at the Rose Room, which is another gay club. I think she performed at other ones, but she had, like, I think the Rose Room became, like, her main primary club that she performed at.
Right.
And she would continue to perform at other gay bars and clubs throughout the rest of the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Okay. Or at least like partway through the 50s. She became a huge top performer in LA and San Francisco. She recorded 5 records in 1945 with the Excelsior label. But the 1950s, there was a lot more scrutiny, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the 40s and 50s saw renewed repression against the gay community. I think it was called like the Lavender Scare. It was really propagated by what in the US we call the McCarthyism era. Yeah. After World War II, there was this really big unrest in the US where everyone was terrified of communists. Yeah. And if the fear got manipulated into if you did anything that was seen as anti-American, you were a communist. Like it was really intense.
Bad.
It was really bad. To the point where the government, the House of Representatives, formed the U.S. House Committee on Un-American Activities to investigate un-American activities, what they seemed as un-American, which included being gay, because, of course. It got to the point where Gladys started having to have permits in order to wear men's clothing while performing.
What?
Yeah.
She's been doing it for decades.
At this point, yeah. But now she has to have a permit to wear a tuxedo as a performer.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So she did start wearing more dresses and more feminine clothing.
Protection. I mean,
right. Yeah.
I don't blame her. Yeah.
I don't either. She started toning down her flamboyance, especially in the 50s. Like, she was just like, okay, I gotta start toning it down a bit. And what's crazy is that she was targeted by the Un-American Activities Committee, quote, for her lesbianism and interracial affairs rather than any political associations.
For who she is as a person. Oh, yeah. You're a communist. It's like last week when we said that people were accusing all the gays of being pedophiles. It's like those do not equate at all.
Right. Neither does being gay and communist.
No.
Or like having an interracial relationship and being communist. And again, this is before, like, Emileigh last year, in February, talked about the Loving versus Virginia case, which
I mean, this
legalized
is
interracial marriage.
Before.
This is before that.
Yeah, well before.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And so she was actually being investigated for her reported marriage to a white woman in the 30s. 20 years prior. They're like, oh, this is anti-American. This is communist.
Oh, okay. How about you quit being, you know what? Mama said if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Right.
I'm going to stick with what Mama said. Okay.
Always listen to Mama.
Yeah.
So, despite all of this, Gladys did continue to perform. Of course, her popularity wasn't what it was. She had to change a lot about her performance. But in 1950, she appeared on Groucho Marx's You Bet Your Life. Okay. And she was actually on his show twice.
Great.
So, performing, singing her songs. She also said that she wrote an autobiography in 1958 titled If This Be Sin, but it was never published. If she did write it. So, which I want to know. It's probably not all truthful, but I still want to read it.
Yeah.
I would just love to hear her perspective. And so we're about to talk about something that it's not disappointing because of the choices she made. It's disappointing because a lot of the sources I read feel like this is something she had to do.
Okay.
So in 1952, she published an article with Ebony magazine called I Am a Woman Again, where she talks about how she overcame her sexuality by taking she went to a doctor and she was given female hormones to become a fixed person.
Ugh.
And she had, quote, been redeemed from her sins by marrying a man. She said that she married journalist J.T. Gibson. Gibson denied this marriage ever happened, and there's no proof it ever happened.
Oh.
But she did marry a man later. And the pictures in the Ebony article show pictures of her performing domestic duties, like cooking a meal, making the bed, wearing a dress, wearing flowers in her hair, the picture of femininity. And the Queer Cultural Center website I got some of my research from calls this, quote, desperate and largely fabricated.
Yeah.
It's suspected that to protect herself, she was like, I'm not a lesbian anymore. I'm married to a man. You know, I'm a productive member of society, to protect herself.
That's sad.
It's so
that
sad.
She would have to feel like she would need to do that to just exist.
And to the point where she was like completely renouncing her old life. Like she said her old life was a living hell. I guess to explain, like, to show people like, no, what I was doing before was torture. It was awful. But now that I have medicine and I've been seeing a doctor and I'm married to a man, all that's fixed now. Which is just devastating.
Yeah.
So there is proof that she was married to an actual man named Charles Roberts. He was a cook. There were magazine snippets that I was reading through from a magazine called Jet Magazine from the 50s. And in the article, it was like talking about her and how she was married to Charles Roberts, who was 16 years younger than her. She also lied about her age. In 1952, she said she was 36. She was 45.
Oh.
So, and like that's on her marriage certificate. This
right.
misrepresentation in her age. So it's kind of related because it also mentions Gladys. As I was scrolling through the Jet Magazine articles, there was another piece about people who are transgender before that was a term. At the time, it was kind of purported to be the third gender.
Okay.
And it talked about a veteran who had received surgery to transition as a woman, or they called it the third sex, being between a man and a woman. And Gladys was named in this article specifically transitioning from the third sex to female.
Okay.
With her medical journey that she reported.
Okay.
She said that like her reproductive system was underdeveloped, and after taking the female hormones, like she was fixed. And I just thought it was a very interesting because it doesn't seem like this article was like, and it goes into more detail about some like different people. It doesn't seem like it's a hateful article. It definitely does not match our modern sensibilities for what's appropriate and what's kind. But it does strike me as an article that took things from a more curious perspective. Mm-hmm. That was like, hey, there's these people that like aren't matching their sex assigned at birth. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And like, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that is, and especially it being that old is mind blowing because you wouldn't think that people were having that conversation then at all.
Or even like those like being out about like those transitions. Because I mean, it's hard enough to transition nowadays. I can imagine how difficult it would be to transition in the 50s without like the feats of modern medicine and medication. So going back to Gladys, her marriage to Charles did not last very long. They did divorce.
Okay.
I couldn't see like when they divorced. I think they may have been married for like 2 years or less.
Okay.
Not a long time. But she was continuing to perform at the Rose Room in Hollywood. One thing that I saw is that she really worked to hide her true self from the public. So it was really hard for potential biographers to write about her because she lied about some stuff. Like she said she was born in Trinidad. She was not. She lied on her marriage certificate. So it's really hard to really get to like who she was, like beyond the persona and beyond what she put into the public. There was an article from the Chicago Defender published in 1957. An interviewer asked Gladys about pictures of a man and a woman on her dresser. And she said, "That's my husband and that's my wife."
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. In her, towards the end of the 1950s, she joined the Temple of Love in Christ Incorporated and was on her way to become an ordained minister.
Cool.
However, in 1960, at the age of either 52 or 53, she contracted pneumonia after getting the influenza, and she passed away.
Oh, no.
So it was super sudden. Yeah, she was in her 50s, and she just got sick.
Man, could you imagine? I keep thinking about her walking down the street of Harlem with her white wife on her arm out in public, and then the 180 she had to make in her lifestyle to keep herself safe during the McCarthyism era is just, that's such a hard swing.
Gosh, can you imagine, like, if she had survived to see the Stonewall riots? Like, oh my God. Because that was less than a decade away from when she died.
Yeah.
I wonder, oh man, it's so sad. It's just like all these amazing things, and she's dead. Like, because she got the flu. Like, that's so sad.
I mean, we were talking about Harvey Milk last week. Technically, she could have lived old enough to see him get elected into office. Yeah. But she got the freaking flu.
She got the flu. So, as far as her legacy goes, the New York Times did publish a series of obituaries and what they call their Overlooked series in 2019. So they went back and for people who were very notable that did not get obituaries at the time, they went back and published new obituaries, like celebrating the people. And they even acknowledged, like, we should have written an obituary in the New York Times about this person. We did not, and we're correcting this. So good on the New York Times. Wow. And she was named as a San Francisco Rainbow Honor Walk honoree in 2022.
Wow.
I don't know if, like, she was an inspiration to a lot of performers, especially in her time. Like, she kind of paved the way for other people to be a little bit more loose with their gender expression, to push those boundaries of what's gender normative. And I think people who know about her today find her very much so an inspiration to, you know, push those boundaries and be who you are genuinely. I have 2 quotes from her that I saw that I just thought, like, you know, were important. Yeah. Quote, "It seems I was born different. At least I always thought I was." And, quote, "I have earned the distinction of being the first, and in some cases the only performer of my race to crash the most plush glitter spots. I am still a star."
Yes, you are.
You are a star, Gladys. Always.
Always and forever. A star. I keep going back up to the top here with her in her suit. Oh my God, she looks so good.
I don't know if you can see, but on the side it says America's greatest sepia piano artist, brown bomber of sophisticated songs.
I also like how under these pictures you wrote glamorous and iconic, because yes.
Yes, the one of her in her fur coat and her hat, like driving in one of her, I'm sure, very fancy cars.
She's living the life. And then right next to it, she's in like a men's suit and a top hat, looking amazing.
Dapper AF.
Oh my God. I want to know her too. Time machine, please.
I did see in one of the I went through so many articles, you guys. Like, they're in the show notes. There's like, I don't know, more than 10. I had to do a lot of piecing together. And the website I got this picture from, it said that, like, to kind of offset how masculine she came off, she had like lipstick and like shaped eyebrows to like make something just a little bit more effeminate in her face to, you know, I think it's a look.
It's a solid look.
Yes.
Dang.
And it has a picture with Louis Armstrong.
Yeah, they look very happy.
They do look happy. And I think she tried to like imitate his tone a little bit too. Like how, you know, I mean, he has such an iconic voice. I think she tried to like emulate it a little bit, especially with the trumpet noise that she did. Like that. Wah, wah, wah. I can't even do it. I can't even hold a candle. But I highly recommend, if you just Google Gladys Bentley, you'll be able to find some of her songs. She has several that are very, very famous and popular.
Yeah.
So do it.
I think I will. She seems great.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. Oh my God, for bringing my attention to this wonderful, wonderful person.
Yes. I'm so glad. I I found her by Googling queer people of history, and I was skimming through the names, and I was like, I haven't heard of Gladys Bentley before, and I looked her up, and I was like, this is my next episode, our last Pride Month episode.
Yeah, this has been a good Pride Month.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, we got 2 artists, a politician, and a singer.
Yeah,
I love it. So I hope everyone else had a good Pride.
Yeah, I hope you guys felt loved and safe and supported this month by your loved ones. We're your loved ones. We love you and we support you.
Yeah, if no one else around you supports you, we do. So,
yes.
And while we're still on it, I did just Google some of her songs, and these names are killing me. Boogiein' My Woogie, Big Gorilla Man, Moanful Wailin' Blues, Red Beans and Rice. These are great.
Apparently the red beans and rice is because she ain't getting no meat.
Oh my God. I love oh my God, the jingle jangle jump. Find out what he likes. Okie dokie.
I think her most famous is something along the lines of I don't know if I can, or something like
How Much Can I Stand?
Yes, that's it. That's one of her most famous.
I'll have to. Okay. We're going to have to hop off here so I can play some of these now.
All right, socials.
Okay. You can find us on Facebook,
Ill-Equipped History Podcast Group and Page.
Instagram,
at Ill-Equipped History.
TikTok,
at Ill-Equipped History.
Gmail,
ill-equippedhistory@gmail.com.
and Patreon.
Patreon.com/ill-equippedhistory.
History. $5 a month. You can get bonus episodes. Which and one is coming out next week?
I was literally saying it. You beat me to it.
Brain melt.
So please consider subscribing to our Patreon and get bonus episodes and our stickers.
Yeah. Also, be your authentic self.
Yes.
However that looks for you.
Dress how you want to dress. Love who you want to love. Just be you.
Yeah. As long as you're not hurting nobody, you just go on and do it.
Do your thing.
Yeah. And definitely look up her songs because I'm going to be jamming.
Yes.
For a while. I'm going to be on the hunt for some records now.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah. Okay, bye.